Hello, Cato. We're going to take a look at your tonal still life drawing here. Starting off with the composition, you have one of your rectilinear forms at an angle here, but the other one is pretty close to parallel to our picture plane. Remember, rectilinear forms at angles are going to add more dynamics to your drawing. And our N is a little bit at an angle, but having those angles is going to really help your dynamics. We've got things, if you look at your overall grouping of objects, it's also very square. You know, having these things spread out a little bit, kind of breaking up that ground plane is going to also add to the dynamics of your composition. Notice how we have large rectilinear shapes in our background areas. We want to try to break that up somewhat. That's what dynamics can do for us. Also, just compositionally, make sure you're thinking about your whole paper. This sort of seems, this edge over here just seems unconsidered. Remember that paper is your drawing, not just the objects. So maybe spending a little more love happening with the rest of what's happening there. Moving on to our shape recognition, which is things like measuring and proportions. We can The receding edges on this box seem to be getting a little closer together. We can't quite make out these back edges too well, but here these edges might be parallel. Make sure you're asking yourself just that simple question: are things getting closer together as they get further away, those receding parallels? And if the answer is no, just keep measuring and looking at those. The N has a lot of receding edges. These seem mostly kind of parallel back in there. Make sure that, you know, when they're this small, because we're pretty far away from things, it's really important to just see those things getting a little closer together. It's harder when they're small like that. If we look at our ellipse here, you got a nice ellipse on this cylindrical object. The bottom ellipse is pretty much the same. It should be getting more smiley. You know, it should be more pronounced than this one. Chances are, if you're looking at this at a what I would call a usual viewing angle, you know, sitting down or looking at a table, we're not going to quite see as much of this top. So this looks pretty accurate here, or believable. But this area is probably just a little bit smaller there. Oh, I had a thought. Where did it go? Oh, the top of this little amp here is pretty consistent with, you know, we can only see a little bit of that top, and then we can see more of these other surfaces. That is consistent and believable. So those are some good things there. Looking at our value range, it's mostly full. We do have some darks back here, and we've certainly got some lights happening around here and some grays in between. Some ways you could maybe extend that, from looking at our light direction, it's coming from this direction over in here somewhere. So chances are your table surface is going to be lighter on this side and a little darker on this side, letting that nice transition real subtle. It's not going to be real big, but that change will also give some atmosphere to that table and help it lay down. Right now it's one kind of overall value. Speaking of your light direction, it's fairly consistent. We have some the cast shadows coming out of here. The shape of this shadow is a little curious given the shape of this box happening here. And we can't quite see a cast shadow on this N. It seems like if this were cast this way, there would be another cast shadow happening back there. So we can't quite make that out. But overall, it looks fairly consistent. If you've got any questions on this, Cato, please don't hesitate to ask.